it's your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. We're focusing in on a way of handling covert narcissistic abuse where, in essence, you have felt silenced. You have felt triangulation. You have felt a smear campaign. You have felt a sense of being made to feel inadequate in order to prop up another individual's ego. When we talk about ego and we look in the light of Sigmund Freud, who is the father of psychoanalysis, we have the three components of the personality. We have the id, which is the raw, it is the child at play, it's the spontaneous, it's really the personality without discipline. So, very pleasure-based id behavior, as Sigmund Freud would say. Then we would have the ego, which is the reality-based. It's based on the action of that individual, and it's very much a very sort of, possessive quality. And then we have the superego. Freud always talked about the superego, which was the disciplined mind. It was the one who would keep everything in check. It would keep things in balance. It would be kind of like the parent to the child, if you will, gently guiding you, keeping you on the right course, keeping you doing what is right. And unfortunately, in the covert narcissist relationship, oftentimes it is like a little quiet child at play, where you constantly feel like you have to take care of the needs of this individual. And, like, whereas the child, you can't expect the child to attune to your needs, but, because they're not old enough or they're not mentally developed enough. So oftentimes when one is in a relationship with a covert narcissist or a psychopath, well, maybe it's a little bit different really for each type, but, definitely with a narcissist and a covert narcissist, it is definitely understood that because of their lack of empathy, one does not get the opportunity to feel like there's an open forum within the setting or structure of the relationship to be who they are. They are squelched. Their voices are basically limited. Their position or viewpoint is shut down. It is silenced. It is not allowed to exist. Someone might, have told you, that's crazy, you're crazy, you want too much, you're spoiled, you don't deserve that. Any of the various scoldings of the voice of the child can oftentimes create, a crushing blow to that child's id, and then therefore that ego, or really what we're just talking about is the different aspects of the personality and how it generates into life and further human development. So if you've ever felt like, you didn't have the opportunity to express your needs, that your needs were ignored, that they were invalidated, they weren't ever looked upon or listened or allowed to mature and manifest and be spoken through and what we call processed. So in other words, that's how children learn, is through repetition and experience. And so, as you can imagine, if a child has not had the experience to have discussion with an adult or a healthy mirroring individual, it becomes very difficult for them to know their voice or to create a sense of self, or how to really know how to stand their ground or declare boundaries. So that is part of the role of child development stages, and we've discussed this on several videos, and I can go over this again, but is to move from that stage from inferiority to industry. And so, one of the Erikson stages is, either you feel inferior or you feel industrious. And so if you didn't meet that developmental stage successfully, where a narcissist has caused you to feel inferior versus industry, you kept on a path. So either you keep on the path of industry, which means, being able to provide, to work, to navigate, to make friends, to feel okay, to become your authentic self, to, grow up. And we can go through that more in detail, but I want to focus here. If you had gone through that route of feeling inferior or feeling shamed for your needs, then oftentimes you felt inappropriate with existing, inappropriate with smiling. You felt very afraid, quite chronically, around this narcissistic parent, spouse, or sibling, and you never really learned to test that out. So as you can imagine, and I know a lot of viewers have asked, why have I continued to attract this into my life? It's because this developmental role was not quite met or processed through successfully. And yes, you can process through this. I do believe that there's information, and it's important to learn not only what, but the how of how to do that. And realize that, there was a bridge that didn't get crossed, but there's a bridge that can get crossed now, where you can learn to cross that developmental stage. Instead of feeling inferior, become industrious. So it's that use of the metacognition and say, okay, this is where I was in need. This is where now I'm taking myself through that next stage. And that really is through the learning of being assertive and having your boundaries and having your voice, knowing what you like, feeling that self-confidence, getting your voice up, learning to kind of get out those squeaky heels, and learning to stand your ground a little bit. So when you have felt this lack of being able to vocalize your needs, your reality, your viewpoint, receiving the pat on the back where that was due, perhaps the narcissist, because of their need to have incessantly be the one in attention, you felt you had to basically keep your parents in attention all the time, or the narcissist had to be the one in attention, for most of the time, and you could not ever be the one who was listened to, who was focused on. And so that then became a very uncomfortable thing. So habitually over time and chronically, then that became an automatic or habit, which becomes a habitual way of doing, like an automatic pilot for you. So this becomes, really ingrained in your DNA and in your body and in your emotions. So this becomes your personality over time. And so then if you have constantly, chronically reaffirmed that or reestablished that, then you're going to then attract others who validate that personality. Once in a while, you'll find that person who's like, hey, why are you walking so down? Pick it up, you seem so down, what's going on with you? And then ask you how you're truly feeling, but the narcissist oftentimes isn't going to do that. They're not going to give you the opportunity to be able to vocalize that. So if you have felt that void in your life, realize that it's important to come to the I am and learn to be assertive and learn to speak up. And being assertive doesn't mean being passive and allowing things like triangulation and smear campaigns to occur. If you allow it, it's just going to perpetuate. So really the goal is to know really what your rights are and how to call things out and how to stand your ground, how to call it for what it is, and do it in a very calm, empathetic manner so it's not perceived as aggressive. Because if things are done aggressively, you're going to set off the other person, especially if you're dealing with a narcissistic individual, which chances are, if you're watching this video, you're looking for tools on how to do that. So when you're looking to become assertive, I have some ideas here. And bear with me one moment. And remember oftentimes that, when you are stating your rights or learning your inner voice or learning to stand up for your needs, it is all about your tone. Your tone should not come from one of reaction. Learning to heal is an active process. And healing is learning to settle into who you are and not feeling angry, not feeling resentful, not feeling fearful, not feeling guilty, but it's coming from a place of certainty, conviction, and truth, which is your greatest personal power. And as they say, the truth will set you free. Well, it absolutely will. And so, bear with me one moment. I do a lot of writing, and I'm referring to my notes here. So, for example, if someone is, you feel kind of violating you, or you just feel like you're being your voice is being squelched or sequestered or shut down or ignored, and hitherto you have not had a tool for how to handle this. You have not known how to kind of create your place within this drama circle that you've found yourself in. And of course, I always, I tend to advocate going no contact with these toxic people. But I understand that that's not always practical. It's a sad truth that oftentimes no contact is the best and only way to deal with these people. But if you're either dealing with them or you're now trying to move into a new phase of your life where you need to speak up for yourself and do so in a non-victimized tone, in a non-victimized manner, you need to get the tools. You need to get the practice. You need to get some repetition, and you need to get some experience. And so, for example, standing up for someone who is trying to snide you, or is trying to belittle you, or is trying to give their subtle, flip off the shoulder and just make a comment to you that is just sort of insulting. That'll never work, or that's crazy, or they're trying to feel like they're trying to criticize you or correct you, for something oftentimes which is a false accusation, where they're just trying to pinpoint you. I mean, they're trying to scrutinize you through every single little thing that you can even become imaginable. And you can just say, I see, I see that is, you have an issue of your own with that. You have an issue of your own. You have an issue of your own listening to people. And so kind of give it back to them. Give it back very calmly and very clearly. And it will become very obvious to you. It's... that is, you have an issue of your own. It's difficult to listen to others. I can see you have an issue listening to others. And you state it very clearly, and you say this again and again, and as you kind of practice it, you'll begin to own it. I'm just trying to write some examples. You have an issue of your own. Showing that you're confident, but when you do that, you're clearly stating that you see that this person has an issue, and that it's basically encroaching on your rights as an individual to speak up. And so when you're feeling there's an encroaching of your rights, it's an encroaching on your personal space. It's insultory. It's meant to minimize you. It's made, to hold your own. Unfortunately, a lot of people who have been victimized by narcissists, they don't have a lot of experience and standing up to people. And also times they tend to shy away from confrontation. And that's probably why they have conceded and kind of acquiesced to narcissistic relationships, because it's just easier to go in and follow their ways and just laugh at their jokes, or, shide in on what they're doing, than it is to call them out, because confrontation is uncomfortable, confrontation is complicated, confrontation is dangerous, and you don't want to have a big blow up. I mean, it makes everybody look bad. So if you're able to learn the assertiveness boundaries, and then just clearly state in a calm and positive way that you clearly see that this person has an issue with listening, or this person clearly has an issue with observing this, or you clearly have an issue with this viewpoint. You're able to articulate to them that you, in a very, not passive but not aggressive manner, you have a way of showing them that they have an issue, that is their issue, it is their shortcoming, and they need to really, you need to kind of call them out a little bit on their shortcoming. For example, with a bully, it would be, it's clear to me you have an issue with other people who are smart. A kid who constantly beats up other people who are book smart. In other words, the kid is jealous. The kid is threatened by these individuals. He's just got brute strength, and so he's using, basically, intimidation at gunpoint. And if you can bully somebody, you immediately have their attention. All eyes on them, and all of a sudden your accomplishments don't matter if they can just bully that person around. So looking at a bully, you can tell them, it's clear you have an issue with, people who are sensitive, who have a caring viewpoint. And you have to be able to say that in a calm, confident tone, not aggressive, not yelling, because they're not going to hear the message. They're just going to hear that you're angry. And so we'll do other practices of this. And it's, if you have unique settings, you can share that with me. But I think if you can get that very foundation where you state, it's very clear to me you have an issue with, and then, just being able to state that in a very matter-of-fact manner. It's very clear to me, you have an issue with dot, dot, dot. And that, you get annoyed from that, and it's their issue. So it has nothing to do with you. You have the right to have your viewpoint. You have the right to give your input. So, even, for example, credit for a project, it's very clear to me you have an issue with what I've accomplished. You can just make it state a fact, and if they can't answer you, they can't answer you. You've just called them out, and so if you can call them out, you're declaring your assertiveness, you're declaring your boundaries, you're letting them know that they have an issue, and it's very clear to you, and that oftentimes is a nice beginning place to begin some assertiveness. And as you do this, it's going to feel new, it's going to feel scary, it's going to feel different. Because chances are you've never exercised these assertiveness muscles and enforced these boundaries. But it's a wonderful thing once you're able to do it, live it, and be it. Very liberating indeed. Peace and harmony with you here today. I hope these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussions, and support.